Ignite, sparked by BBB, where conversations are taking place to change the future.
Hello everybody, welcome back to BBB Sharing. This is Joshua, and today I have Barron Williams with me. How are you doing?
I am doing well.
Good. So just tell me a little bit about who you are and what you do.
I am Barron Williams. I own Powhatan Collision Glass in Powhatan, Virginia. We're located at 4160 Old Buckingham Road. And like I said, we're a full-service collision and glass shop for automotive needs. We've been in business since 2012. So like I said, we've been accredited with the BBB for like probably 12 years probably.
Wow. When did you start the business?
In June of 2012.
Okay. What got you into this?
Well, like I said, most of my young part of my life, I've always done construction work. My father said I was never going to do that for a living, so I had to find something to do, and this came about, and like I said, I found a program that was in Nashville, Tennessee, and that's where I went out there for about a year, and immersed myself in that. Like I said, it was a thing of just trying to stay busy. Mm-hmm. When the weather's bad and everything else, I wasn't a college type person, but I did, I was good with my hands, so I just chose that and give it a shot, and it worked out,
Nice. What kind of veered you away from the construction?
Just the uncertainty of it, the weather and everything. Like I said, you probably wouldn't work when it rained, and, the fact, it depends on how much money you could actually make, and I was just kind of probably at a cap unless you owned your own business or something, with that particular job, you know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. And, my dad was like, it's kind of like, well, he wasn't like, no, you're not going to do this, so.
You can kind of see that. I mean,
yeah.
Parents kind of understand.
Yeah, you got to find something else, so anyway, it worked out well,
Yeah.
So like I said, I've worked for several dealers in Richmond, and I got to a point where I was thinking to myself, physically, I'm not going to be able to do this for the rest of my life. At what point, I need to do something different. So that's what I started pursuing my own thing.
Nice. How was it for you opening up your own business?
Well, I had a wife, 2 children, still in school. So I was a thing where I had to come out of the box running. I didn't have a chance to just start out, slowly. But I'd been doing a lot of work at night, on my own, just, for, family, friends, and whatever else. But so like I said, I had an opportunity, and I targeted one guy to kind of try to buy his business. I'd known him for years and had worked with him on some projects, different things, So once he became to the point where he was wanting to retire, I ended up being able to buy his out. So like I said, that worked out well. It was already a pre-established business. It was having some I guess he had gotten too complacent with what he was doing, and it was kind of failing a little bit, Mm-hmm. So like I said, I took it over, and we've grown the business probably double what he was doing or more,
Oh, okay. Nice. Good job.
Yeah, so we've taken it to the next level as such.
Good. And what are your next steps when it comes to building on this?
Well, like I said, my son has come on board. After he got out of college, he worked for some other companies for a little while, so he's got a business degree. So he came in and started. Like I said, he's wanting to take it over after I'm done. Mm-hmm. So like I said, he is adapted to it very well. Like I said, he's a great negotiator with insurance companies, and keeping the quality we expect at Powhatan Collision.
Yeah.
So he's fully, he's doing really well with that.
Okay. What would you say would be, because I'm curious, finding employees or skilled people in your area? That
is probably our biggest issue, and I think it plagues a lot of hands-on kind of companies, that depend on people with skills. Mm-hmm. As far as hands-on skills, we've been able to keep people, and we've got a program. We kind of hire on younger people, and trying to get them to stay within interest in that business. And like I said, we've had a couple of them that, and it's always like the first place you work is probably a stepping stone. So like I said, they've gone on to do other things, do things in other places or whatever, trying to better themselves. Mm-hmm. But like I said, we have 2 now that are very skilled. Mm-hmm. But like I said, overall, trying to find people kind of in that business, we're almost like recycling the same ones. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? That it's very difficult here lately, and that's what everybody says in the trades business is, you can't find anybody that's wanting this. Everybody wants everything right now.
Yeah.
Nobody wants to build that skill set. You know what I'm saying? You're probably going to make decent money, but it's your skill set. If you do it one time rather than having to take something back apart and do it again because you skipped a step or whatever, they don't. The younger generation is harder to work. They aren't self-starters. They'll work great as long as you stand there beside them telling them what to do. But they say it's just thinking on their own, and some of them just don't.
Yeah, I think because we grew up with like a lot of like computers and like technology, and it's crazy. So when we have all of that information, I feel like we like to think that we know everything. When we take a step back, the internet doesn't know everything either.
And they'll have one of them aha moments back in time to come. You know what I'm saying? So we just gotta, hopefully get to one that's had that moment already and ready to do something. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it just takes a little bit longer.
It does. Like I said, I think, and like I said, I've had some of them actually that have come back, after they've gone other places and done other things, have come back, realized, what they had or whatever, you know what I'm saying? They've always looking for the next best thing,
Yeah. Is it more like resume driven, or do you go to schools?
Most people, like I said, we have some good programs in the area. Like I said, Chesterfield's got a very good program. And like I said, I've got some, some kids from out of there years past. And like I said, that's a very good program there. But like I said, it's kind of, and some of them you get, I don't even know how many they enroll in that program. But like I said, I've known some of the teachers over there for years. And he'll say that some of them, it's a very small group that actually stick with whatever they're doing. They're looking for something other than school, just to to get through or whatever. They might not ever even touch a car again. It's just they want to go to that program just to fill time. You know what I'm saying? It's not something that a lot of them actually stick with.
Okay.
But
yeah, I get it.
But I think that's with all the trades type things. You have some of them that stick with it, and other ones just go do find their way doing something that's totally different.
Do you see? Because I know just the auto industry in general, it gets a bad rap, and I wanted to see from your perspective maybe why that might be the case, or
I think in this you see a trend as well with body shops in general. It's different. Like I said, a lot of dealerships you're seeing get rid of them. They're taken over by Calibers or Joe Hudson's or whatnot. It works so much different than the mechanic side of it. I think there's a lot of politics to it, per se. Dealing with insurance companies and stuff like that. They're not dealing with just a warranty issue with the franchise themselves. They're having to deal with outside of the box. You know what I'm saying? They're doing business within. Okay. And that gets a little bit, it's like somebody, a lot of people don't like it. They feel like, the insurance companies are kind of running their business for them. But what you got to deal with, you just got to negotiate with them.
Just another step.
Another step. And they're used to going, all right, well, you need a transmission, so we're going to call Ford Motor Company and we're going to get you, we'll get your transmission. Where you're dealing with an insurance company, they're going to go, well, we're going to try this first, and then we're going to, we got to use one over here. And all these people get upset with all this stuff, but like I said, it's what they've signed up for within their policy. A lot of people need to read their policies a little better before they just go for price. Their low price is not always, they're trying to, they'll tell you right there, the cost cutting measures are, blah, blah, blah. Nobody reads the fine print, until but the automotive industry in general, I think, like I said, it's expensive. And so so people, and they, most people don't understand what makes a car work, and they're getting more and more technical, and you can't see it. You know what I'm saying? You go in there and they gotta, all these massive computers we gotta have to work on these cars and stuff, and so it's like you're getting $200 an hour to work on your car. You know what I'm saying? So like I said, people just puts a bad taste in people's mouths with the expense, the sheer expense of car repairs, and then you got other, I'll say, bad apples as such in the industry that don't do everything they say they're going to do or whatever. So especially with the electronics, you're at their mercy. You don't have any idea really what they've done. Was it something simple? I've experienced it myself working in dealerships, you know, I've had some experiences the same way, and you know, I'll question whatever's been done, you know, and I'm not hearing the answers that I want to hear. It'll be on the opposite side of the car. They said they have no problem. I didn't tell them what I did, or, you know, so they come up telling me, oh, you needed a wiring harness and this, it was cut. And I'm like, no, you know, it's put back just like I put it. You know, you've never done anything what you said you're going to do. Then they, you know, they look used to me. They see, you know, there's good places in the bad, you know, they've got good and bad and everything. I'm not downing dealerships because, like I said, they got a lot of, you know, obviously talent working for them as well. But some places, you know, you feel like you're not getting everything you're paying for, or you're getting charged for things you aren't supposed to, you know.
Interesting.
But, you know, I mean, like I said, that just takes one, and then that bad experience, people just run with it.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So it kind of shadows everybody that's trying to do right, you know.
But you got to have that understanding. Like, you can't just take everything for that. I'd be like, all right, because this is it, you know, and this is the only thing that's it. If you sit back and understand and realize that there's so many moving parts to it, you get a little bit more. And
that's part of what we do at Powhatan Collision. We try to, try to educate you on what we're doing to your car. And we, like I said, we deal with the insurance companies. But like I said, ultimately, I'm fixing the car for you. And so I'll work with you, with any insurance company, trying in the customer's interest of trying to get the car repaired correctly, you know, and the longevity of the repair. You know what I'm saying? I don't try not to, you know, I don't use cheap, inferior parts. Like I said, we try, you know, I'll go to bat for you with the insurance companies and whatnot to make sure your car's repaired properly, you know.
Okay.
So like I said, you know, 9 times out of 10 or more, that, like I said, we end up, it's just a negotiating thing, and that ends up taking time, which people don't, you know, they also get frustrated with, because I can't do anything until I get the approval from the insurance company, which is ultimately paying the bill. But like I said, it's just a negotiation thing, and people get so frustrated. Like I said, it's, you know, we kind of try to educate them as how this is going to work, so they don't get so upset when things do not go as fast as what they feel like they should.
Yeah.
You know, so you know, that's part of what we do. We try to educate everybody with some general knowledge what this repair process is going to be like. What, you know, so when you get to that point, it's like, all right, we discussed this. This is where we are right now. So
okay.
And it's like I said, overall in my business, people usually aren't very happy because something bad's happened already, and so then they get shoved into this thing with the insurance companies not wanting to pay and wanting to extend the rental car because they figured parts from way out, God knows where, and they come in and they're no good, you know, so it just delays the process. But it is a process. When they dictate it to us, you know, that's where the negotiations come in, you know, kind of make them say, you know, well, you figure this car from California, it's going to take a week to get here, you got shipping, and by the time you add it all up, you're $20 from buying this one here. Let's just get the $20 and move on, you know. You know, but they all got numbers. Their superiors are looking for numbers. You know what I'm saying? So that's what they're trying to do. They're trying to, you know, make sure their numbers look correct. I've used so many aftermarket, I've used whatever. So they're just trying to fill all those slots. So their job is, you know, their superiors are looking down and going, yeah, he's done his job, you know.
Okay. Yeah.
But it's a big process. And it's kind of like, you know, a lot of other things. You know, people might not understand banking and everything else. There's a whole lot goes on behind the scenes that aren't really shown to the public, you know.
Okay.
But we try to educate them on what things they are going to experience. You know, and small jobs might not, but some of these jobs, $10,000-$20,000, you know, even more. You know, and you got a major repair.
And that's something to be said, because some people will just, like, you know, get your stuff done and just kind of go on with their day.
And people feel like it's like an oil change. You come in there and, you know, just drop it off and it all just snaps together. It's not, you know, like I said, we're got an extensive amount of equipment to work on these cars. You know, we got, you know, like we produce all the spot welds and a lot of aluminum repair. We're doing a lot of cars are now aluminum. And so, like I said, we had to buy special equipment to be able to weld it, to be able to do the repairs on the dents and whatnot. So, like I said, it's, you know, choosing a quality shop that can actually keep up with today's technology is very important, you know.
Okay. No, yeah. And how would people be able to get in contact with you for?
We do have a website. It's Powhatan Collision, PowhatanCollision.com. look that up. It's on the internet. Like I said, our phone number is 804-598-3848. We're located right in the courthouse of Powhatan, Virginia. And like I said, we have a very large customer base. We do a lot of surrounding counties.
Nice.
So like I said, we've worked our way up to a very good customer base. We got a lot of repeat customers as well, a lot of fleet work.
Okay. Thank you for coming in. I mean, and thanks for kind of sharing and clearing the air, I guess. But is there any last minute things that you wanted to tell everybody?
Like I said, if you got any questions about anything, we do a lot of, people have questions and we'll call, they'll call us and we'll answer their questions the best we can. And like I said, we do have a lot of people that, just for the fact that we do answer their questions and try to walk them through the process, we get that as well. They've called other places, bigger places, whatnot. So like I said, we do try to take that personal time with our customers and educate them and, try to help them file claims and do whatever, because a lot of people, it's the first time they've ever wrecked a car. So they're totally, don't have any idea what they're supposed to do, especially the elderly with, like what you said, the computers and stuff like that. They want them to go to a website and load pictures, and
you gotta be patient.
Yeah, and so like I said, they have no clue. And like I said, so they'll come to us and we're like, all right, we'll just come on in and we'll walk through this, so we'll take their phone and talk them on the phone and walk them through the process to get it started.
Okay.
So like I said, we try, there again, but we got some retirement communities around us, so we're really big in helping people with stuff like that, because it just, it's just a different generation and they aren't really, I'll say, acclimated with what technology they have in their phone. You know what I'm saying?
No, they don't. Yeah. I mean, and I still got to show my mom sometimes about how to do some
I'm the
stuff.
same way. Like I said, I got my son there, and like I said, some of the other younger people there that, I'm not might not be the one, but I can get you the answer. But yeah.
Oh my God. But thank you for coming in.
All right, thank you.
Yeah, anybody who's listening, make sure to follow us on Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, BBB Serving Central Virginia, BBB Central VA, and I hope to see you guys soon in the next video. Bye guys.
Ignite, sparked by BBB, where conversations are taking place to change the future.